Hi, third graders. I'm here with your Module 2, Lesson 2. We're starting on page 39, and we are going to be measuring area by counting unit squares. So after this lesson is done, you should be able to describe area, and you should be able to measure and describe the area of a figure in square units. So very similar to what we did last time. So, Dom plans to use either large square tiles or small square tiles to cover a wall space without gaps or overlaps. Show how Dom can cover the wall space. So we can see that here are his large square tiles and here are his small square tiles. So we need to figure out how many of these he would need to cover the space, and notice the space is the same size, and how many of these smaller ones would he need to cover this space. Well, one thing I'm going to do is I am going to use a piece of paper. Sorry. That one right here, and it's just stuck to another sheet of paper. And I'm going to see, well, let's see if we can figure out exactly how big these squares are. Well, I can see that I notice up here it's even with the top part of my rectangle. So I'm going to use this piece of paper to help me draw a line straight across. So notice this actually splits my paper right in half. Well, how big are these squares? Well, I'm going to use my paper again, and I'm going to go right on the edge, and I'm going to put a little mark. This is like, it's almost like I'm using a ruler, but I'm instead of going to get a ruler, I could use my piece of paper, and that's going to give me the exact measurement of my square. So now I can take the corner of this piece of paper and I can put it on the edge of my rectangle, and I'm going to make a little mark right here. That's where I know my line is going to need to go, and now I can use this as a straight edge, and there's one of those squares. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to line it up with the edge of this square, and I'm going to use that mark so I know where to make a mark on my paper. And I'm going to use the paper again as a straight edge. And then if I look at this one, do I have a third one here? I do, so I have 3. So if I have these squares here, I know I'm going to be able to go straight down as well for this one. So if I'm going to use a large square tiles, I'm going to need how many? I'm going to need 6 of them. So down here I'm going to need 6 large tiles to answer how many large square tiles would Dom use. Now let's figure out how many small square tiles. I'm not going to use this same measurement, am I? Because look it's not the same size. So I'm going to again get my straight edge. I notice that this is even, right? The top of my rectangle and the top of the little square are even. So I can go to the bottom of my little square, and I'm going to line it up, and now I can use my paper as a straight edge, so that way I can draw completely straight across. Now this one's going to be just a little bit different, but we can still go across just like we did with the first one. So I'm going to measure across. I'm going to get the edge of my paper to the edge of my small little square, and I'm going to find this side of my square, and I'm going to make a little mark. So now I have my own little ruler, so I can figure out how to go across my large rectangle. So I'm going to go to the edge of my rectangle again, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to draw a little line. So then I could use this as my straight edge. And couldn't I go all the way down? I could, couldn't I? Because they're all going to be the same size. So I'm going to find the edge again, just like, remember I went straight all the way down over here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I make my little mark, I line it up, and I'm going to go straight down. Then I'm going to line my paper up again, and you can do this just like I'm doing this with a piece of paper. I mean, if you have a ruler, I do have rulers, but I wanted to show you how you don't have to have a ruler to do this work. You can just use a piece of paper as a straight edge and make your own ruler. Isn't that cool? So I'm going to go down. I need to be on the edge. Uh-oh. Did I do that a little too far over? I did, didn't I? It's because I didn't go, I put the red just a little bit over too far. Okay, so now I need to figure out how many I need in this direction. Well, I know that this is one of my squares, right? Couldn't I do it now in this direction? I could, and then just use this as a straight edge all the way across. So the same thing, I'm going to line up the red with the red and go all the way across. And then I have my squares for this one. So how many squares are in this rectangle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I have 24 of the small tiles. So we could have the same area, right? And depending on the size of the tiles, that would tell us what we would need to use. We could either use 6 large ones or 24 small ones. And if I wanted to take this a little farther, it looks to me like one of these small ones, or I would need 4 of these small ones to go inside a big one. Look at, doesn't that look like that? Doesn't this look like the same size as this? So it looks like I would need 4 of these to go inside one of the large tiles. Very interesting. All right, so now we're on page 40. We're going to build some understanding. So Miwa thinks she needs 6 1-inch square tiles to cover the rectangle below. Greg thinks he needs 10 1-inch square tiles to cover the same rectangle. Draw to show how the tiles might look. So I could get my paper again, my handy dandy paper. This is a 1-inch square tile. So I'm going to go to the edge of my paper and I'm going to draw a line here, right? And I know I need to go to the edge of my rectangle and I'm going to draw a little line here, and I'm just going to go across for right now. So I'm going to use this as my straight edge to go down. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Draw I've got my little mark. Sorry, it's like really, there we go. My focus is not very focused. I think because I keep going in like super close and then far away. So it's not because of the work that I'm doing on this one. And then we're going to go here. And we're going to make our little mark. And we're going to do our line again, all the way down. Alright, so I know I'm going to need 4 tiles right across. Now how many do I need, or 4 tiles going that way? Now I'm going to turn my paper this way. And I'm going to use this. I'm going to use my mark and I'm going to go all the way to the top of my rectangle. And I'm going to follow this line down, and this I can go all the way across. So now I can see what my area would be. So we know we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiles to cover this rectangle. So it said Maiwa thinks she needs 6 1-inch square tiles to cover the rectangle. Greg thinks he needs 10. Whose makes sense? Does either of them make sense? No, not really, right? Neither of them make sense because neither one is correct. So neither Maiwa or Greg is correct. They are both wrong. And that happens sometimes, right? It's not always going to be one person. You're not always going to have somebody that's, sometimes these answers you think it's one person is right, and then kids want to put in one of the person's names. Well, as a matter of fact, for this one, neither one is correct. So, what does that tell us? Well, how many one-inch square tiles would you use to cover the rectangle? We said you need 8 tiles. Because we did the work, right, to find out that they need 8 tiles. We need 2 rows of 4. Okay. Now we're gonna step it out. Last is measuring the area of this figure using unit squares. Each unit square is 1 square inch. Remember I talked about in the last lesson they were square units, and notice they're using inches this time. Remember I said they could use inches or yards or centimeters or all kinds of different units of measurement. What is the area of the figure? Well, we're going to first count the unit squares. You can write the numbers on the unit squares as you count them. So we have 1, 2, they already started for us, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. So how many unit squares are in the figure? There are 6 unit squares. But now we want to know what unit of measurement did Les use. Les used the square inch unit of measurement. So the area of the figure is, we're not going to use unit squares, we're going to do 6 square inches. You need to be making sure that you're using the right unit of measurement. Because what if somebody said it was 6 square feet? Well, he would need much bigger squares, right? And that would mess his area because he only wants it to look like that. And it would be huge. So we need to make sure we're using the right unit measurement. And in this case, it is square inches. Okay. So let's do a little check for understanding. So Eula draws this figure. Count to find the area of the figure. Each unit square is 1 square foot. So let's count them up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 square feet. And feet is the plural form of foot, right? So, because we have more than one. So we have 14. Lex draws this figure. Count to find the area of the figure. Each unit square is 1 square meter. So we have 1, 2, 3 square meters. And if you want to, you could write your numbers inside. You could have wrote your numbers inside here as well. I'm sorry, I probably should have had you do that. But it's also not necessary if you're okay with counting and not writing in the numbers. You do not have to do that. All right, we're on the page that's on your own. So again, remember, my suggestion to you, you can always pause the video, try this on your own, and then come back to the video and see if your answers match. Or you can just stay right here with me, whichever you feel the most comfortable doing. Okay, Jenny places tiles on the kitchen floor shown. Each tile is 1 square foot. What is the area of the floor? So here's her tiles on her floor. We need to find out the area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it is 11 square what? 11 square feet. because each is 1 square foot. So there are 11 square feet. So we're going to count to find the area of the figure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 square centimeters in this rectangle. Number 5, we've got some big ones over here, and this is square inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 square inches. And then number 6, we've got centimeters again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 square centimeters. So that's the area. All right, Katie says that if there are gaps between the unit squares when you measure the area of a figure, the measurement will not be accurate. Is Katie correct? Yes, she is correct. Remember, there cannot be any gaps. Remember on the last lesson, on lesson 1, you had to choose between squares and circles to cover the area of a counter. And we found out that the circles had gaps. So that would not be an accurate measurement, right? Because there are gaps. So we need to make sure that our unit squares do not have any gaps. So yes, she is correct. The measurement would not be correct if there were any gaps. So for sure, you cannot find the area of something. Your area will not be correct if there are gaps. That's what I want to say. The area will not be correct if there are gaps in your measurement. Alrighty, so your next homework needs to be it'll say lesson 2, or it'll be module 2.2. So you need to make sure you're doing the homework for 2.2. It's that black and white sheet. It says lesson 2.2 at the top, more practice / homework. You need to do the front and the back of that sheet and get it back to me in order to receive credit for doing this lesson. Watching it and following along is only part of getting full credit. You need to watch, follow along, and do that homework sheet, that practice homework sheet, in order to get full credit for completing this lesson. All right, my 3rd graders, I will see you again soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.